welcome to Coffee Talk Tuesday. We are filming for the first time in the Let's Do It production studio, and I'm so excited. And I'm also really excited to introduce my co-host, Trip Mitchell. I know, I have never thought I would get to a point where I had a co-host.
You've been promoted.
You've been promoted.
Wow, this is amazing, and I'm so excited to do this, and we're having you here at our homes at Let's Do Something Productions, and wonderful for you to be here, and you're classing up the joint.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, there's no question. Most of our hosts don't necessarily have your talent, grace, and equanimity.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm not sure equanimity is proper, but anyway, we'll throw that in.
It's fine.
It sounded fancy.
And we are here with Jacqueline Thompson. Did I say it wrong?
No.
Okay, I said it right. You looked at me like, oh my gosh.
You looked like you weren't sure.
Well, funny thing is that I just literally met Jacqueline last night in our class at Salt Lake Community College.
You were trolling for guests?
I was totally trolling. I'm not even a student. No, that's not true. I am a student at Salt Lake Community College, and it just so happened that it worked out.
Did we have a last-minute cancellation?
Oh, we did.
And let's shame that guest.
Did you just sell me out that way? Like,
No.
I was your second choice after the other one canceled 4 times.
Oh!
I mean, that's really bad.
Let's shame that individual, can we?
I don't. Well, I do.
After canceling 4 times would be an easier way to say that. You pretty much, the chances of them showing up
There's an indication that they don't like you that much.
Well, we've actually never met. We've connected because we both run nonprofits, so that's
She's
how
just a little afraid to commit to meeting you.
Maybe. I mean, I am a little bit much at times.
Yeah.
Like
Well, we've got some hosts who are a bit much. We should introduce you to Mindy. Yeah, and because if you're a little too much,
yeah,
she peaks the fun meter. So let's talk about our guest.
Yeah, let's talk about our guest. And let me just tell you briefly what we do at Coffee Talk Tuesday. So the guests that I have here are people that are making a difference in the community, that are doing something proactive with their life, and really just making their dreams come true. So
and these are positive differences in the community.
Positive differences. Yeah, let's
So we have a show with a lot of negative influences on the community.
Yes, I've seen a couple of those and was like, well, I'm totally different, but it's okay.
I feel like I could qualify for that one too. I feel like
I actually could too, but we don't see me on the weekends.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna aspire to that.
So Jacqueline, tell us about yourself.
Oh gosh. Well, so I'm a wedding and event coordinator. I've been doing it for 26 years. I own a bridal show here in town. Let's see. I kind of fell into a podcast and a blog. They talked me into it, twisted my arm. So I've been doing that. I'm very political, and yeah. So I don't know.
So tell me about your bridal show that you own.
So it's Rebridal Fashion Show event. We were doing quarterly shows. I kind of slowed that down because of the podcast, but it's a little bit of a different premise. So I bring in not only local vendors and things that I've personally selected. Other bridal shows, they kind of just let anybody through the door that, the riffraff. But I personally only bring in vendors that I've actually worked with and that I, admire and that I respect and that I think that do an excellent job for our brides. Also, we do a fashion show using reclaimed dresses. So brides can come in and they can list their dresses and we get them down the runway just like in any other bridal show. And brides can then rent them or buy them for a discount. And so it kind of, some of our dresses have gone through like 6 or 7 different weddings. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. So my wife had a tag on her wedding dress. Is that a bad sign?
Yeah, that's generally a bad sign. And I don't think you can really return a wedding dress, although I'd like to see it happen. I'd like to see someone try. So,
Well, you've said it's only been, what, 3 months? 4 months?
4 months, yeah.
4 months, so,
Getting married, this might come as a shock. I haven't done it before. What a pain in the batuski. It is beyond belief, and I don't know how anyone is a bridal coordinator. That is the hardest job in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy town. I feel like I'm everybody's therapist. So yeah, and I unfortunately, well, and not unfortunately, I shouldn't say it that way. This is gonna come back to bite me. My son got married this last June, and so I had to plan his wedding, and that's completely different when you have like an emotional attachment. I mean, I usually like all my brides, and we become friendly, and we're like family, and I do weddings for them, coming, not sometimes their next wedding.
So, have you ever done a polygamist wedding?
I have not done a polygamist wedding.
Because that would be tough.
That would be interesting. I wonder if you could just like send them all down like like a conveyor belt at the same time. Yeah, like next,
So,
calling number 002.
So literally in a polygamist wedding, who do you listen to? The husband or either wife? Or I mean, that's it.
Well, I'm not sure that you get invited to those because they have their own temple, right?
Oh, do they?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
so.
they do things the same.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
I've heard some
Well, yeah,
stories.
like starting
I think
with the fact that they have two wives.
Right.
Well, yeah,
I think
there's
it's
that.
more the clunk and
I
pull.
feel like you'd have to have security there, don't you think?
Clunk and pull? Did you just say that?
I might have said that. See what you're doing? Like,
What does clunk
See,
and
now
pull
you're
mean?
Like
aspiring to
cavemen.
that other show now.
I know. I told you it's in.
Let's
I
do
mean,
something
it's-
even if it's wrong.
Even
Yes.
if it's wrong. Yes, that's what.
So, Charlene, what's a clunk and pull?
Yeah, I'm
Um,
afraid.
Well, like cavemen, like when they hit you over the head and they pull you by the hair, like in like Flintstones and stuff.
That's what happened to me. I've still
Is
got a
that- is
headache.
Oh, so it's like a shotgun wedding, but for the opposite, right? For women.
Yeah.
Oh, why would a woman ever want to do that?
No. No, the other. Never mind. Let's move on.
Okay.
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 So tell me your worst bride story.
Oh, okay. So this is probably gonna just come back at me. So I had a vegan bride some years ago, and her husband to be was not vegan. This was out in LA. And they decided they were going to center the entire wedding around the vegan movement. And even though he, was this avid steak eater, and they sent out announcements about this to the family, saying, this is what we want to do, and we have this famous vegan caterer that's coming in from LA that's like caterer to the stars. And we're going to, basically put out this food, and you are going to be convinced. And they sent this out, and we got this flood of mail back saying, no, thank you. And they had paid for this wedding for like, 500-600 people at, $200 a head just for the catering. And there were all these people saying no. And there were others that were coming back and saying, are you sure? And so we spent about 8 months trying to convince people that they should fly in from all over the world for this wedding.
Okay,
Because they didn't want vegan food.
Because they were terrified because of the way she put it. She put it out as, it was just paragraph after paragraph talking about how it was going to change their life, and she expected them to basically become vegans after that. And they were like, we just want to dance.
Right.
And eat
So
food.
she was trying to get them to convert to her
Yeah,
veganism.
so she used her wedding as a platform for veganism. And when she first came to me, I know, it's awful. When she first came to me with this, it sounded subtle. Like, oh, we're gonna give them this beautiful vegan, all my friends can understand this, my family can understand my vegan lifestyle, and I really want them to see this, and, I'm vegan PETA and all of this, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's, they may not, do it, but, okay, like, yeah, that's great, as long as we're, feeding them, food that, is palatable. So I thought this was great, but every single thing, it was like everything that we ordered, every piece of, on the menu, it was like an entire speech about, what veganism is and the cruelty of killing. And the final straw, my headphones are sliding here. The final straw, I told you I don't think I have a head for this, was when they wanted to play a video at the wedding, and it was a slaughterhouse video. And I sat there and I laughed for about a half an hour as I was crying, and I was just like I couldn't even respond because we had this beautiful tent on this estate and there was these beautiful blue lights and all these shears and chandeliers, and she wanted to, okay, we're going to sit down and have this little movie. Now, generally when we play something for a wedding, it's like the couple's early years, and we love you guys, and thank you so much for coming.
Slideshow.
And, I've had people put like little parts of little films in there, and like romantic films and what have you. It's not of a slaughterhouse, and
Was it at least a well-lit, well-shot slaughterhouse? So it was
Maybe
tasteful?
that's actually
even.
what
It's
she
been
was
all these
expecting
years.
her relationship to be.
Well,
after
When did
the
they get a
wedding.
divorce?
it was like about a year and a half later.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you did not need to call Caesar's Sportsbook to know that this thing was doomed.
We would
Right?
go to lunch, I would have to, because I was living out in San Diego, and we'd go to lunch, and I'd come out to LA, and so we'd have a nice lunch, and then we'd talk about the wedding, and he'd order his giant steak, and she'd order her whatever, and they'd be talking about this in the slaughterhouse video, as he's eating his steak, and I was just.
Wouldn't that be ironic if the steak he was eating was in the video?
Right?
Oh God, yeah, it was, and I mean, like half of their family came from Texas, so I was just like, I this is why you're getting the no thank yous,
Right.
And it was everything. We had little towels set out for the bathroom that we're gonna go to the bathroom and things like that, and she wanted like a little saying on like God's greatest, invention was the animal or something like that, and
Wow.
and I was just like, seriously, like, I mean, couldn't we just, like half and half it here? And so anyways, that was where it went. And, yeah. And
That's a good story though. I mean,
there was some
What
other
was the total
challenges.
budget for that wedding?
Oh gosh. So
Maybe $100,000?
I'd say it was about 120, I think is what we were at.
Wow,
So
that's
that was
good guess.
before the real estate crash. It was back in like 2006. So, out in San Diego anyways, the Southern California, I guess.
Can you imagine spending $120,000 on a wedding?
Well, can you
No.
imagine spending $120,000 and then putting up a slaughterhouse video? I mean, here comes the bride and she's gorgeous in her, $20,000 gown, and then for entertainment, the band sashays off the screen, and here comes up the slaughterhouse video before
it's like
dinner.
The exact opposite of Lady Gaga when she wore the meat dress. I mean,
God.
she could have done that, and
Well, and
put
it was
some
right before
weirdness
the
on.
food was going to be served. It was right before the salads were supposed to come out. So I was just.
What was the main entree for the veggie?
So I remember there being like a beet mashed potato kind of thing. It's been like forever ago. I'm not a vegan. I actually eat a lot of vegan food, and I enjoy it. But yeah, we had some interesting. If you want to hear the funniest part, so me and my
We haven't yet.
no. Me and my assistant went down to Madeline's. So Madeline's is this famous caterer for vegans, and it's really hard to even get them to do your wedding. But she had some connections through PETA, and so she got them to agree to this. And we're not vegans, and I have to keep saying that because we were not prepared.
Were they slaughtering plants in the kitchen? I mean,
Something. So no, because there was a lot of grains and because obviously, pardon me, it was all plant based. We were having a lot of issues with that. So we drove, an hour and a half down to LA for this, and we ate all of these things, and we had to try like I'd say about 20 different dishes because it was a full tasting. And we had vegan cheese. That, I think, was the culprit. And so
how was the drive back? Lots of stops?
Yes. And in LA traffic. So we're driving and we're laughing and we're talking about this on the way home about, some of the things that occurred during this tasting. And all of a sudden I start sweating. And I'm like, we need to stop. And so, we tried to pull over, but that doesn't happen in LA. So,
Right.
I mean, we finally got off, and I was like, okay, this is great. I feel better. And then about 5 minutes later, we're back on the road, and she's having the same issues. And I mean,
you started a new stop and go driving.
It took us about 3 hours to get
Oh
home
my
from all the
goodness.
stops. So, and then when we got home, I can't even say it. When we got home, she called us and she said, "How did you enjoy the meal? Are you ready to go vegan?"
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and take our own stop.
Yes.
and go ahead and take a break, but we will be right back. Welcome back to Coffee Talk Tuesdays. Again, my name is Chalese Stevens, and my co-host is Trip Mitchell. Thank you so much.
This has been so much fun. We've talked about art and culture and really smart stuff in the first segment. For those of you who watched the first segment, I'm lying. Go ahead.
Do you know the irony of your story is that actually this show is kicking off Heart Month. So because that's obviously a close topic for me, because I have my Rainy Days Foundation who helps kids and families with congenital heart disease. And so this is a big month for us at Rainy Days, and I love that she was coming on because I'm like, oh, you're like love, and we're so like fun and weddings and la la la, and then she tells that story.
Then the pit stop story.
Then the pit stop
like
story.
that, you need to know.
That's life.
Yeah, you need to know if you're going to go into the business what you are going to be facing.
Exactly. But what I do also want to talk to you about, because again, we're here to talk to people who are making a difference in community and the world, and so we're going to switch a little more serious note now. And I know you have your own story, which is why I'm sure a lot of this has come up, but you have a blog.
Yes.
And will you go ahead and tell us about that, because I am super impressed with this. I love this idea. And
so my blog is that'sjacqueline.com, same as the podcast, and it's a life and politics blog. Generally, you don't see a lot of that mixed and matched, but I think women have their stories, and I use it as an opportunity for women to share. So I have a lot of guest bloggers that come on and kind of share their experiences being a woman and the problems we face. And I have a thing called Solidarity Sisters that we kind of talked about. So Solidarity Sisters, we have profiles of women, and we create connections for women who basically support other women. So you are a solidarity sister if you support other women in their success, whatever that success is, whether that success is a career, education, family, it doesn't really matter, charitable work, those things, we support you in them. And if you're trying to do something good with the influence that you have. So we have everything from politicians on there to, other bloggers to activists and just like everyday women that we just think that are spectacular. So
yeah, I love that. And you also said the women or the men that love
them. And
them.
the men that love them. Yeah. And so
cool.
I mean, I have several Solidarity Sisters that are men. And it's just because, whenever we have asked for help with something, or we have, other organizations who've, said, hey, this man was just like, he just, really supports us and he really helps us. So yeah, I think that they deserve, a little gold star too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I absolutely love that, because a lot of times when women are making a difference and going out there, sometimes I was actually just talking to my boyfriend last night about this, and I was like, things are really great, and I've got so much going on. School started again, and my blog and my podcast and all these things are picking up. I was like, you're okay with all this, right? Like, you're like, and he goes, honey, you've worked your ass off for this. Of course I'm on board.
Yeah. And
I was like, yes.
And I think we're taught, or we think that there's like a natural combativeness, that if we succeed, that men are not going to take it well,
or they're threatened.
Or they're threatened, yeah. And that is in some cases. There are cases that happen, but I don't think that that's the natural norm, or like the preset for men. I think that men want to see women succeed, and they want to be a part of that, and they.
The Tom Brady model works for me. Tom Brady makes $26 million a year, and Giselle makes about 36. And that, I think, would be a problem that many men would not have a problem with that. So, just a thought.
Yeah.
Having a woman make more, all joking aside, however, it is a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think, men like to be the breadwinner in a household, and when it's not the case, it's unusual, and it can be a challenge.
Yeah, I think that what a lot of men don't understand, we talk about this on the blog, is that when a woman feels like she's achieving her success and she's being as much as she can be and she's accomplishing the things that she wants and whatever those are, because in different phases of our lives that's something different. When they are doing that, it's very freeing. And when you love yourself, you love people better.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, I think that's something that's misconstrued with the men that do not support women, is that this is going to somehow make them love me less. And I think if anything, it makes them love you more. I've been in that experience where I've had a male partner or a friend or lover or what have you who has supported me, and how much more I love them because of that.
Yeah.
And to know that, that I can count on them when I'm having a difficult day and I'm like facing a challenge, that I can count on them and go to them and say, hey, look, like, what's your advice on this? What can't, without it being diminishing me. Whereas if it were somewhere adversarial, I'd be afraid to do that. So you rely more on people who support you than on people who do not. It's the opposite of what people think.
Yeah.
And it's interesting in a case, and I've had friends where a guy's wife's career is going great and they have to move for her career. And that poor guy will get a lot of crap from friends and
for supporting him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, to pick up and move for a husband's career, that's totally okay.
Yeah, my ex was an F-18 pilot, and we moved all over the country, and I just did it.
And I was just thinking of a
military.
So he's a Navy pilot, and you had to pick up.
Well, he's a Marine Corps pilot, but same difference, say Navy or Marine Corps. But yeah, we had to pick up and move, and every single time I had to change. I had to start my events over and make new connections. And to me, luckily, I'm a person who's just like, here, let's do this. But when it became the opposite, that didn't happen. When it wasn't so much I asked him to move, but when it was like, this is going to change our lives, I didn't see the same support. And so that was a little frustrating.
Yeah, sexism is alive and well. And the fact that women make anywhere from 83 to 87% of what men make.
Yeah.
To this day, makes 0 sense. I don't get that at all.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's the promotion rate. So it's not just that you're making less in the position that you're in. It's that you kind of get you're knocked down a few steps too. There's really still a limit on the ceiling, that you can reach.
So Mika Brzezinski was the host of Morning Joe. She got that job, and Joe Scarborough was the main host. And when she was hired, he put out so that she would make the same money as him. Little do they know, they both get a divorce and get married. But that's an example of females on staff making good money. And it's arcane that in this day and age, in the year 2020, that women don't get the promotion at the same rate.
Well, it's frustrating too, because women and men naturally have different, skill sets, and they naturally have, different things that they bring to the table, and women are usually better at, like multitasking and bringing people together, and that's kind of what you want in a larger corporation or something like that. Is you want someone who's going to reach out to other people. It was like 2 seconds, and last night, and I'm like, hey, let me, you said something interesting. Let me come over and talk to you, right? Where the guys are still kind of sitting in the corner, like, what just happened?
Oh, yeah.
She just got up and moved across the room in the middle of class, So, there's definitely like some differences there, and there's great things on both sides of that argument, but I feel like like a lot of companies really cut themselves off at the knee by not utilizing what they have. That's so frustrating. You have all of these people that are could really increase your...
Well, and that's why it's so great that you celebrate the women that are doing things and making a difference and really doing something unique and special, because
And it's so inspiring, to me, when I get to read over these women's stories, and I'm like, wow, they accomplished so much, and they had all of these things that they had to go past to get there. And to me, it's just like, it's like my happy place to see.
Well, that's why I do this too.
And women now have it easier because of women in the 60s and 70s who
that
accomplished
fought like hell.
Yeah, no question. And it's never easy. So, case in point, a state senator in the great state of Michigan the other day said to a reporter, a high school boys group was there in East Lansing, and he said, De La Salle High School. And he said to the reporter, these boys would have a lot of fun with you. And didn't know that he made a horrific mistake.
Oh my goodness.
And this happened 2 or 3 days ago, and naturally this guy was a Republican. I mean, I didn't even have to look.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? I mean,
yeah, that brings the whole Biden thing to mind, because he's always telling these children and these women, these younger girls, when they meet with at these events, like, you know, they're gonna have to shake a stick at those boys, and if I were 30 years younger, and I'm like, did you just say that? Did you just, not only did you make a pass at a child, but did you just say that, did you just, like, minimize her to this thing, instead of, like, you know, what are you interested in?
and it's funny you should say that, because I happen to be on that side of the political fence, and I still cringe, and I wish Joe would tone it down.
Yeah, chill it out.
And compared to what we have now, Joe Biden is a saint. But that, you still want people, and Joe Biden has got some issues, no question.
For sure.
But, you know, apples to oranges, you know. So the thing is that women in politics, and there are some great people running for president, and I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, it's very interesting, and it sounds like you've got a great group going and some neat stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I really love it. Like, it makes me happy when I'm having bad days. I go through and I read through the profiles, and I'm like, she did it, I can do it too. So
yeah, no, that's great. And I was just talking to one of my other friends, and you know, we were talking about how nobody is just really an overnight success. Like,
oh, never.
You see them when they're big and they're making it, or they're doing something. You see that part of it, but you didn't see the last 10 years of, you know, everything that they went through to get there. And most of the time, people that are making a big difference and a big impact on the world are people that have been through hell.
Oh, for sure.
And they've gone through so much that now they're finally starting to shine. And so many people, I find, try to tear that down so often. So it's great to see somebody that wants to lift them up.
Yeah, and they don't understand that. I think I kept some of my stories, my personal stories, kind of close to the vest for a long time, because I didn't think that it was the time, you know. And I get a lot of, you know, because I have a large Twitter following and whatever, and we've talked about this, but I get a lot of messages from women saying, like, how do you get through this? Like, I'm having this problem, or do you know how, or where should I look for help, kind of things. And they just assume that I don't know because I wasn't. And finally, like, it was about a week ago, I kind of just put a little part of that out so that they can understand, because I feel like they think they see something more polished and they think, oh, she's never, you know, and she wouldn't understand. And I think that I don't think there's anybody who hasn't been through a little bit of something.
Yeah.
But if you can take that and you can turn it into something good, you know, you claim back your power for that. Yeah. And I think it's really important not only to do it for yourself, but to share that with others so that they know how to get through it. You know, I think that's like how you make something good out of something bad.
Definitely agree with that. So, well, is there anything else that you want to tell us, or give your little plug for yourself so we can make sure that...
Sure. So that's Jacqueline. I just had taken a little sabbatical this last year, but the podcast, but we're going to be back on YouTube. We're going to be filming in the next week, actually.
Very cool.
And I'm hoping to have you guys on there to come and visit. It's about life and politics. We go from everything from, there's obviously going to be a lot of politics right now with the primaries coming up. But, you know, we cover these kind of things. We cover good organizations and ways you can help and things you can do. And so, yeah, I hope you guys will check it out.
Very cool, for sure. All right. Well, Trip, this has been fun. A lot of fun. I have been...
I'm still aspiring to get on that other list.
Yeah.
The naughty list.
The naughty list. I feel like I could probably qualify.
Yeah. Well, this is just a little piece, I think, of who we are.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for watching. Thank you again, Trip, for co-hosting. Thank you, Jacqueline, for
thanks for having
last
me.
minute, literally coming on
no
the
problem.
show.
I was like, yes.
And we'll see you guys next week.